gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the ESR Tugas and PHSR Multiclass 2004 Round 5 at Brandon's Hatchway Gp. I am very attractive, and with me as always is the man coming off of his 32-week command residency of Seleucus Secundus, Michael Magus.
Seleucus Secundus has never worked finer. It's a smooth operating machine. Starter car recruitment is up 500%.
And with us, as always, is the man hailing from the middle of Little Italy. Little did we know that the riddled the two middlemen who didn't do diddly, Adam Stewart.
Hello, everybody. Let's do it.
So, this is the round of the championship where I saw it on the calendar and went, this is a terrible idea. So I'm looking forward to things that are going to make Byron very happy.
And I looked at the calendar and went, let's do this.
Because Brands Hatch, at the best of times, can be a little bit of a tight, chaotic, effective race. And you add multi-class racing to it, and you've got a whole new set of problems. And we'll see. Maybe it goes completely smooth, but I have questions and doubts.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was on the field there up until about 1 minute left when I got kicked out.
What? That seems like racism.
Yeah, I think Mr. Martin didn't like that I was faster than him, so he kicked me out.
That's pretty on point. Yeah.
We have our qualifying results. It'll be Thomas Ribeiro leading from John Spriggs, which I swear is the same front row we had at Suzuka, actually. Martin Edmonds, Andrew D, row 2, Fotis Zoglu, and Max Moran, who is running under a different racing flag today. Interesting. He was British last time, and now he appears to be Polish. He's on row 3. Luciano Echazo and Nikolai Fain on row 4. Yuri Kratashvili and Ivan Rizov, row 5, and Morbid Apathy bringing up the rear of the Porsches. And fortunately, I have the event page up here, so I can tell you about the BMW qualifying, even though that is no longer on our screen.
I would like to say for the record that both of these classes are equal. It's just that sometimes they're more equal than others.
True. We have 6 BMWs. Leszek Lakomi on pole. Congratulations, Leszek. With Magic Cash Chuck joining him on the front row, Steve Davidson and Vic Vega, and then Andy Darnell and Chris Willems. So, no Tobias Thierolf, which means we will have his winning streak snapped here today.
Like in the leg area?
Well, hopefully not the leg area.
Shin bone.
He's got Buffalo Wild Wings baseball to play.
Shin bone connected to the head bone.
Although, in fairness, he's almost exclusively a hitter, so I guess he doesn't really need legs.
Boring. This is the worst race ever.
Otis dropping back in the order here. Is he starting from the pit lane? He might be starting from the pit lane.
Boring.
All right. We go to the green flag here, led by Thomas Ribeiro, and it is green for the first time down Paddock Hill Bend. One of the most dangerous corners in all of racing.
Who's getting killed?
Well, largely a lot of people at Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, Morbid Apathy's off.
Oh, boy.
And it looks like Fotis is actually DNFing the race, so I'm going to assume some kind of technical issue, some kind of gremlin, which is unfortunate.
He did not feel well during practice.
Fotis is quickly becoming one of my favorite guys because he's he reports himself in the stewarding room a lot and has a very high standard for himself and others, which I appreciate.
You saying he didn't feel good during practice?
Yeah, he didn't feel good during practice, was saying he felt ill, so he might not have been able to start.
Ivan Rizov in the wall as well.
Has gone full crazy glue.
So in the early going here, it's Ribeiro who's been dominating this championship, leading from Spriggs and Edmonds, as you can see on the field right now. Andrew D, Moran, Echazo, Kratashvili, and Fain getting through relatively cleanly. And then it is Lakomi leading from Kazchuk, Davidson, Vega, Darnell, and Willems in the BMW car. And Rizov and Apathy running behind the BMWs, though they are in Porsches. Oh, Rizov's front end is missing. That is not good. That is Andy Darnell. Or no, that is Chris Willems. Willems has changed his livery, it appears, because he was not previously running that livery. He appears to have joined Team Andy Darnell, maybe.
Yes, he joined our team. That is true.
There you go. We have the inside scoop here.
Insider trading, let's go. We're the Martha Stewart of commentary.
Chris seems like a good guy. After he got in trouble for some blue flag behavior, he came to me to get like an actual like crash course on blue flag driving. That's good.
And then Mike hit him up with the heroin.
I will say, unfortunately, there's a couple of Porsche drivers in this field that are a little bit cruel to BMWs under blue flags. But you make the best of what you got. Championship-wise, of course, Thomas Ribeiro has dominated the championship, winning all 4 races in the Porsche category. And there's really no one challenging him for the title, if we're being real. John Spriggs has had a podium and a 4th and a 10th, but there's not been a consistent fit. Well, I guess Martin Evans is pretty consistent, but he also had that terrible run at Dubai and a DNF at Suzuka, which has put him at a considerable disadvantage. On board with Andy Darnell for a moment there. And of course, in the BMW category, things are a little more interesting. Tobias Thierolf leads the championship with 3 wins and a 3rd place. But Magic Kazchuk, we'll get out with the off-kid. Magic Kazchuk's been consistently a contender, and Andy Darnell won at Imola and has had a couple of other good results as well. So they're still in it.
Maggle, I have an issue I need to take umbrage with.
Okay.
I was recently described as having a raspy voice.
True.
And I would like to say that I was very smooth and genteel vocabulary.
Yeah.
I am the bad boy of easy listening radio.
Vocabulary, yes. Voice, no.
Unfortunately, Ribeiro appears to be just blowing people away right now. He's already up 5 seconds, and we're only on lap 3. That is not promising for the end of his dominance. Martin Evans is keeping John Spriggs, within arm's reach, and Andrew D is right on their tail, as well as Max Moran and Luciano Chazo. Fane and Krutachville are falling a little bit off the back end. In the BMW category, it's pretty tight, with the exception of Chris Willems, who went off the track and, as a result, is a little bit off the back end. But the other 5 drivers are separated by less than 5 seconds. That is Lukomi, Kazchuk, Davidson, Vega, and Darnell.
And then?
Oh, there is no end then.
God dang.
It's a small field today, which is probably a good thing, given what I said about Brands Hatch earlier. This is a track that is traditionally used as a sprint race track, and certainly the 1 hour race time that we have here is a sprint race. But when you're doing multi-class, there really isn't such a thing as a sprint race, if we're being honest. Because there's, the blue flags that will come into play.
Blue flag meaning that they are Swedish.
Get out of the way!
Nope, wrong.
That's technically you are actually correct. A blue flag does not mean get out of the way. It means be compliant with the technically speaking. Chris Willems appears to be off the track again. Looks like he messed up at Patico Bend, I think.
Willems Defoe has defrayed the disparagement until later.
On board with Martin Edmonds, he runs in 3rd place, sporting the Canadian flag, representing ESR's admin community.
Yeehaw!
I believe he is the only ESR admin in the field.
Other than Ivan Rizov.
I actually don't know what community Rizov is from.
Neither do I.
Could be Tugas, could be Petrolhead.
Tugas, I believe.
Well, if you don't really know him and I don't really know him, then yeah, probably Tugas.
I would like to put forward a petition to establish 3 GAS.
It's 3 guys. Oh. Also, Rizov is down a lap to Chris Willems, so hopefully he's still running. But he did, of course, lose his front end on lap 1, so I imagine that there's a fairly long pit stop involved in repairing that. Hopefully he soldiers on. Not listed as a DNF yet.
Andrew D went off track, barely kept it without spinning it.
You can do that pretty easily there. I don't know what it is about the grass there. And it's not just a race room thing, because I've done that on a set of course Competizione as well. And I don't know, it just seems like the grass there is like got traction somehow. And I don't have a way of explaining it. Vic Vega on the tail of Steve Davidson. Yuri Kratachvili going for the overtake. I think he's the only one of the pink Porsches here today. And overtakes Nikolai Fain. There is Luciano Ichazzo, who has ditched the Plath livery and is chasing Max Moran in the Plath livery.
Hey, Luciano! Italian hand gestures in play.
But he's Argentinian.
Now, yes. Correct.
Cue the 1930s accusations.
Not, as soon as his family arrived in Argentina, nice 1947, 48 kind of area.
Anyways, Ichazo overtaking Moran there. Moran made that pretty easy, which is, I don't know what to make of that. Maybe a slowdown penalty or something was in play.
If you see the grass there, it looks like it's got some mesh on it, like it was built over the top of cinder blocks. So the outside would be grippy.
Could be. I've also seen it in real life that the drivers in GT racing in particular make pretty liberal use of the outside there. So I imagine there is something about the grass that is non-standard, shall we say. I think I've even seen some F3s, like F3 Formula open wheelers racing, go out wide there as well. So definitely a thing that can be done. This is one of my favorite tracks. It is the site of my first serious sim racing podium. As Chris Willems, I imagine that is, getting out of the way of Martin Edmonds and John Spriggs.
Would you care to fill us in about your humorous podiums?
Humorous podiums? Well, humorous podiums tend to be when, like, the field is just kind of, like, very casual. Very, very casual. Or something horrible happened. There was a race I won for ESR at Race Room Ridge. And it was me versus he who shall not be named. And we're quite certain that just no one wanted to try to overtake the two of us when we were battling on track.
I believe you were referring to Elon Musk.
No. Although he does have the personality of Elon Musk.
I believe you were referring to the clap.
Possibly the physicality of Elon Musk as well. The whole steroid bod without the workout part.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is built like a mutant that has developed a bone disease.
In the wall. Well, that's what the theory is from like all the steroid heads on MMA Twitter, is that he does steroids and just doesn't work out, and that has led to him having the humorously shaped body that he has.
The juice that makes your head grow big.
Because, little do people know, just doing the steroids, not actually valuable. You
So
do
should I
something
stop?
with the
No,
effect.
don't stop. We want to see how big your head gets.
Well, I guess there is that.
I only take it
Morbid
for the
curiosity, I suppose, is an option. To go with morbid apathy, as we have on track here. I will once again mention morbid apathy should really change into the BMW. I'm just saying that Porsche has been driving him all season long, and maybe at some point you got to step down and take the not even necessarily the slower car, but just the more stable, easier to drive car.
Well, the drivers don't say that BMW is very easy to drive.
Comparatively, I think it is. there's a more intuitive, like, physical structure to the car. It used to actually be the Academy car here in ESR at one point.
What about the Zonda?
Oh God, we would never use the Zonda as an Academy car. That is
It'd be
terrible.
very funny.
That'd be a terrible. That's how you lose the interested parties.
All right, everybody. Today we're starting on the basic, most intro thing.
The easiest to drive car in the world, the Bugatti Zonda.
And just do it for please, for 5 minutes as a prank. Come on. This is new people hazing. We'll do a little bit of hilarious bullshit, record it.
Well,
All
so
right, now
here's
we're
the
gonna
thing.
start on the Porsche, which is really the easiest car to drive.
Here's the thing. If the Pagani Zonda was free, I'd be willing to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's not free.
Yeah, no, all right. Yeah, that's not cool. We're not gonna make people pay for a prank. That's not good. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to start with the Zonda. It's very easy. Everybody like, ha 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 ha. All right, now we're gonna actually the easiest one to ever control is the Porsche.
Easiest car to control in this game.
Daihatsu.
Interesting thought.
MX-5.
MX-5 is an option. I haven't driven that one enough to really comment. But that's an option.
It's like a go-kart.
The BMW 235i
That's a good one.
Cup car, also probably on the list.
I would agree on that. That's a good car.
The 1972 Lada.
The Lada would not be a good option just because
What?
all the Ladas in the game are front-wheel drive, and they wear their tires out like that.
Just put 2 tires on the front, on each side. It's fine.
World Touring car style cars are not easy to drive just because of the tire management. Chazo going for an overtake here on Andrew D.
Can we start the front dualies meme now? We need front dualies on every vehicle.
Luciano, I am curious. I am legitimately curious, sir, because Luciano Chazo has not qualified especially well for any of these races, but has had the pace of a front runner every time out. And of course, we've been commentating on him for a long time. I've raced against him. He's a very quality driver. What is the deal with the qualifying? Why can you not get that hot lap in? Maybe Adam can tell us. Is he really late to every qualifying session or something?
Yes.
I think he does the same thing I do, which is forget to take fuel out. You don't think about what you're doing. You're trying to put a good lap in, so you don't really get that good one lap in that you say, okay, now I got a qualifying lap. I can push the rest. That's my problem. I do that quite often.
All right, the Porsches are working their way through traffic here at Druids and Graham Hill Bend. By the way, morbid apathy in the wall again. By the way, this track has the most corners named after F1 world champions of any circuit in the world.
That's interesting.
Graham Hill, John Surtees, Jim Clark, and Sterling Moss, who is not a champion, but is probably the greatest driver in F1 history not to win a championship. He's on the short list for sure.
What about Teppo Newman?
That is a hockey player, sir.
What about Kimi Räikkönen?
Kimi Räikkönen did in fact win a world championship, 2007.
What about
Dale Earnhardt.
Timo Häkkinen?
That's also a hockey player.
What about Jarkko Ruutu?
Also a hockey player, legendary pest.
What
How about Dale Earnhardt?
The problem is that we really have no reference for F1 drivers versus NASCAR drivers at all. So it's really, really hard to comment.
Especially when he's never raced on this track.
What about Tom Petty?
That's a singer.
That's a heartbreak right there.
God dang.
Magic Kashyuk getting a little bit in an opportune spot there with Andrew D going through at Druids, but handled well. Also gets through Isaac Lacombe, so Lacombe pays the same price as Kashyuk, so no advantage really gained as we head into Surtees. Luciano Chazo is our first pit stopper within the actual pit window, taking an early stop. And we're back on board with Martin Edmonds as he tries to track down John Spriggs. The gap at the front is now 20 seconds, almost 21 seconds. Good Lord. Thomas Hibero, a round of applause to you, sir, because you are dominating the festivities.
It's about time for John to sprig into action.
This is a Mike Stopmill levels of dominance that we seldom see here.
I've seen some stuff.
Yeah, we've seen it from Mike Stopmill. This is about the time Stopmill would be musing about making an extra pit stop to go through the field again.
For the lulls.
For the lulls.
Oh, nice move by Magic
taking the lead there on the start-finish straight. Leads the BMW class now ahead of Leszek Lakomi. We are very likely to be getting a new winner in the BMW category because the only driver here today who has a win in that category is Andy Darnell, who runs in 5th. Not too far off the lead, to be fair. Still in the hunt, but seems somewhat unlikely. But perhaps I've just cast or cursed everybody in front of him.
These two, 2nd and 3rd, John Spriggs and Martin Edwards, have just driven away from 4th and 5th as well.
Not too far. They're 4.5 seconds up on Andrew D. And keep in mind, the 5th place car of Chazo is pitted, so that is something to consider. He is on a very different strategy. Yuri Kuchachvili also in the pits as well as Morbid Apathy. Apathy, I suggest that might be a, how should I put this? Forced pit stop as opposed to any kind of game plan, as you can see from the
highly recommended
non-functional headlight.
Maggle, I think we need more green cars out there. What do you think?
We do have a lot of green cars, but they are actually pretty distinct, so I'm okay with that. Apathy getting really just kind of being driven by the car right now. Just saying, this is not the car I would recommend learning on. That being said, it is actually the car I taught my cousin how to drive Assetto Corsa Competizione in because he picked it. Despite my repeated attempts to convince him in a mix of Serbian and English that it was a bad idea. And he kind of went out there and proved me wrong, actually. Had a pretty solid effort at Barcelona in the Assetto Corsa ESR series. Had a pretty much race-long battle with John Barker, of all people. So that was good.
Did he at any point throw caltrops out the window?
He did not.
Disappointing.
Oil slick, maybe?
Nah. Fortunately, he fit right into my rig because he's more or less got the same height dimensions as I did. So that worked. That worked fine. Although he's skinnier and has hair. I'm very envious.
I mean, we could just destroy him and consume him whole, thus absorbing his power.
quite possibly. I don't think that's how that works. We're Serbians, not Highlanders.
That reminds me.
Oh, Morbid Apathy loses the back end.
Oh boy.
That's a surprise.
And spins off at Clark Curve. Not really a spot you usually see somebody go off, if I'm being honest. There are several current turns here that are very, very difficult. I'm looking at, Paddock Hill Bend, particularly because of the undulation it has. I'm also looking at... Oh, maybe that was Paddock Hill Bend he went off at, actually. Just didn't look like it from the angle. Oh, problem through Paddock Hill for Steve Davidson. He'll drop to 5th place. And Apathy is off at Graham Hill Bend. I do not know how to help you, Morbid. I think something needs to be done.
Do you think Morbid Apathy
maybe a less apathy heavy approach?
Do you think Morbid Apathy listens to Morbid Angel?
Maybe. But yeah, Paddock Hill Bend, very, very difficult around this track. I always have a problem with Surtees that apparently is kind of unique to me, but it is still there. And the sweepers around, just getting the names of the turns because they've had their names changed a couple of times, and I tend to use the wrong names. Hawthorns, Westfield, Dingledale, and Sheen Curve. They can be a little bit messy. They're the sort of turns you really need to get. You really need to ace the exit or the entrance and the exit on to survive well. And when you do it, it doesn't feel like it's that hard. But when you don't, it feels terrible.
You make me feel so good.
Also, a champion's corner that I did not mention earlier, Hawthorns, named after Mike Hawthorne.
I don't believe that's his real last name. I think his name was Mike Huckleberry.
Could be. It has been known that there are F1 drivers that race it under pseudonyms. So, possible.
I'm in Huckleberry.
This is Surtees here.
That's just my game.
On board with Morbid Apathy. He's not really battling with anyone. Not really sure why we're on, but we'll take a moment to give you the geography here. This is Hawthorns coming up. And then next up, we will go to Westfield. Which is this one here.
I wanted to go to Eastfield. This is a rip-off.
Dingledale is that one there, which is not really a corner, if we're being honest. And then this here is Sheen's Curve.
Do they plant berries? They're down in Dingledale.
Sterling's, I mean, possibly. And then to the final corner, which is Jim Clark Curve.
What about Dave Clark?
Two-time F1 world champion Jim Clark, 1963 and 1965 with the Lotus F1 team.
Boo. Downvote Jim Clark Curve. Upvote Dave Clark 5.
Also the only driver in F1 history to score the maximum available points.
But how many did he shoot from beyond the arc?
Knowing Jim Clark, I feel if there's a basketball reference with Jim Clark, it is all three-point shooting.
Half quarters, every one of them.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Jim Clark was an amazingly talented man who made a Lotus that, by all accounts, was borderline impossible to drive a championship car. Even 1962 world champion Graham Hill marveled at the fact that Jim Clark could make that car work when they were teammates in 67 and 68.
Our leader has pitted. I think he was bored out front, decided he wanted to see somebody besides the BMW.
I mean, we're at that kind of optimal, like, 10-minute phase where you want to get your pit stop in, so that could just be planned.
I only have one thing to say about that.
Chris Willems into the pits. What is your fuel of choice today?
I have a potentially acceptable, locally brewed, unhopped beverage.
Nikolai Fain in the pits as well.
That's rum and coke here.
Very nice.
I'm just having no-name peach drink.
No-name
Morbid
peach
Apathy
drink equals straight plum hooch.
Whoa. You know I do not mix anything with the plum hooch.
That's why I said straight.
There's no point.
I said
that was a great story of when I left a bottle at my friend Kevin's when he was in college, and he put it in the porch crawler. It just took over the entire porch crawler.
I said straight plum hooch.
Yeah, but why would I say peach drink if I'm just drinking the straight plum hooch?
It's a cover story. We all know your POs.
Cover
listening.
story? I am a thriving alcoholic, sir.
Sir, we all know your POs listening, and I was only going to get
my
you the
people
modicum
drink
of
shamelessly, sir. We do not have a drinking age where I was born. My grandmother, when she came to visit us, was so confused at the idea that there was a drinking age. She was so confused.
When I was in Japan, there were beer vending machines on the side of the road everywhere.
Yeah, that's what Daddy wants.
I feel like in Japan, there's a vending machine for literally everything.
I want to go 4
This is,
beer
Andy
dispensers
Darnell
in a
to
row,
Ritz.
then into a ramen shop, and then back out on the street to 4 more beer dispensers in a row, and into a ramen shop. That's how I want to live in Japan. When people come up to me and ask me things in Japanese, I'll be like, "Sorry, don't speak the language. Need to get to the next beer dispenser."
I mean, as the great Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta said, we need to go eat McGriddles at Japanese McDonald's late at night. I mean, that is the true joy of Japan.
Roppongi
I remember when they
voice?
first brought McDonald's to Japan. I was there.
Nice. What was that
There was
like?
a line about 4 miles long.
Dang. I still can't keep
Most
up
of
with
us were
KFC.
Marines, so we were there.
Hell yeah! I hear KFC in Japan is like the shit. It's the appointment meal you need to have per year.
I was gonna say, I think D is in the pits, and then the little pit sign beside him turned green. So yes, he was in the pits. He was just kind of dropping time after time, like second after second. So I was like, he better be in the pit lane. Has rejoined us behind Luciano Chazo. So Chazo's up a spot so far on his undercut strategy. He was behind D at the time of his pit stop, and is coming ahead of him. On board with Ivan Rizov as he heads through Surtees.
Ivan Volkov.
Our first Macedonian driver. Or if we had another Macedonian driver, I'm completely forgetting you, and I apologize. Letting you enjoy the sounds of Race Room, which is the award-winning sound engine of the game.
Both John Springs and Martin Edwards have pitted.
The barrel back into the lead. Just in time to pick up a slowdown penalty for track limit abuse.
What a horrible person.
Now it'll be interesting. They have both gotten out ahead of Chazo. So Chazo's undercut strategy, good enough to get him up into 4th place, but not enough to get onto the podium.
Martin Edwards did jump John Spriggs during that pit sequence.
Sharp pit stop strategy from the the green dinosaur team. Ivan Rizov coming up to... that's probably Andy Darnell, actually. Go around the outside of Hawthorne.
Really curious where Andy is going to come out after his being the only BMW to have pitted.
It'll be interesting. He was definitely in a close section there. He was ahead of Steve Davidson. Now, interesting enough, Kazchuk has fallen from 2nd to 4th. Is he in the pits? I think he is. That gap is going up and up. So Kazchuk probably in the pit lane. We'll see where he comes out in relation to Darnell. That'll be pretty key. As John Spriggs makes his way through traffic. Either Chris Willems or Andy Darnell. Kazchuk appears to have Nikolai Fain in the wall. The Plath livery getting a little beat up.
Might I feign surprise?
You may.
Indeed. Gasp.
Kazchuk has come out ahead of Darnell by... I'm not sure, because we got Rizov in there kind of messing up the gaps. But looks like a pretty comfortable gap. So I don't think Andy Darnell's undercut strategy is particularly working at the moment, but plenty of time, 28 minutes.
Well, wasn't Magic
Just
up
means
in
he's going to have
first
to get
place?
the job done on track. There is Vic Vega, who currently runs in second place. Probably a net third. Once the pit stops are sorted out, he'll probably be behind Cash Chuck, who was leading before his pit stop. That has now gone back to the pole sitter, Lezak Lakomi. Getting a little bit twilighty. Looks like they played with the daylight settings. So, Magic Cash Chuck not helping himself out on that quest for the victory. With a spin out around Graham Hill, Paddock Hill Bend.
I'm waiting for the cool sparklies that indicate irradiation. I think that's what happened. See, that's the underlying theme of Twilight. I think is nuclear abuse of technology, and yeah, they're not really vampires in as much as they just need to consume things to keep going because the uranium or plutonium has accelerated their digestion level.
Gotcha. Lezak Lakomi pits from the BMW lead and hands it over to Vic Vega. We'll see if Lakomi comes out ahead of Magic Cash Chuck. That'll be the interesting note here. Andy Darnell right on Cash Chuck's tail. Now, mind you, I think that's because of that spin that Cash Chuck had.
Yeah, so Magic lost 4.5 seconds to Darnell during that spin.
So that's going to be a big deal. So we should see Lakomi come out ahead of them, but we'll find out. John Spriggs gives chase to Martin Edmonds, having Martin Edmonds chase him most of the race up until this point. Kashuk has indeed rejoined, pardon me, Lakomi has rejoined behind Kashuk and Darnell. That's interesting. So Andy Darnell's undercut strategy might be really on play here, and that might be the way to go. Or either that or Lakomi just had a very bad pit stop, which is totally possible. This would be the one advantage of doing things live with the race control on. Of course, I could look up the pit stop time.
I believe all pit stop times are 2.3 seconds.
No, that's like F1 levels of pit stopping. These cars take
I wish. Well, I wish mine were that quick. Everybody else should have at least a minute.
Everybody else taking 2 minutes, which would be just fine.
Absolutely.
So yet to pit and going for the Max Simmons Award, we have Vic Vega, Steve Davidson. Are we counting Ivan Rizov as still having not pitted? He did pit for damage repair. He just hasn't made his mandatory stop.
That depends whether or not Ivan can count.
Does he count as a Max Simmons?
Perhaps. We'll find out.
Well, he has half a pit done.
There's Steve Davidson rejoining the festivities from the pit lane. Coming out in 5th place. Falcon versus Dinosaur. Luciano Achazo is slowly catching up to them a little bit. Running just a little bit faster every lap.
That short pit stop really worked out for Andy Darnell. He's made up 2 positions already.
He's got Lakomi and Davidson behind him. Kashuk in front. Question is, will Vic Vega's overcut be a good idea or a bad idea? I guess he was kind of in the middle of the pack, so he kind of had to do something unusual if he was going to, try and take advantage of the full opportunity here.
They always say if you follow what the leaders do, you follow them to the end.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to go off the beaten path, and sometimes that will bite you. So we'll see if that's the case for Vic Vega, as Lezek Lakomi is off the track, and looks like he is heavily headbutted the barrier. So the pole sitter is without a front end, effectively. I think that probably ends his hopes for a victory here today, as I imagine he's going to pit to repair that damage. On board with Ivan Rizov again. We've had a lot of onboards with Ivan Rizov for a guy who's kind of been just racing his own thing today. Nikolai Fain was off the track there at some point. Hopefully not too damaged.
These
Now,
two
hopefully
guys,
Rizov realizes that he has not cleared his mandatory pit stop.
Even on times.
It's kind of the only real battle going on right now. Everybody else is more than a second away. Although Chazo has made up about 0.5 of a second in the last lap. So the Argentinian is coming. And we have a pit stop from Vic Vega. Did he come out in the lead? Wow, Vic Vega may have actually come out in the lead. So the overcut strategy for Vic working out pretty well, although he is under pressure. The gap between him and Magic Kashuk is but 0.7 of a second, with Andy Darnell about 1.5 seconds behind them. Apathy continues to run in 9th place. So we are about to reach the 2/3 mark.
Quick story on Morbid Apathy. He had spun and wrecked a few times in one of the races, and we were all talking about him, and all of a sudden he says, "I didn't mean to wreck." None of us realized he was in chat with us.
You gotta be careful about that.
Is Morbid Apathy actually Eastern European?
I mean, he claims to be British.
Perhaps. So Hibero leads by 37 and change, although that number is coming down. Is he off the track somewhere?
He's driving backwards at this point.
Somebody rejoined. That's Nikolai Fain. Spinning it around and getting it faced in the right direction. Everybody's made their pit stop. Good to see that Ivan Rizov realized that he still needed to pit after having pitted earlier. It's always a shame when you see somebody who, kind of just out of ignorance, doesn't clear their mandatory pit stop. So good to see that he did in fact do that. Chazo's getting closer to the battle for second place. As Morbid Apathy tracks either Willems or Darnell. Again, they are running the same livery, so impossible to tell based on the information at hand. And it was Darnell.
Heck and or darn no.
You were right about Vic Vega. That overcut really worked out for him. He's got the freshest tires and is just making the best of it.
Actually has pulled away about a second since the pit stop on Kaschuk as well, so definitely making the most of it. Not a driver you generally see up at the front, so it's good to see some new blood there. Even if it's not really like particularly new blood, Vic Vega's a veteran of these multi-community events, but performing at a higher level than we're used to, and I appreciate that. Back there, he is up ahead in the white car, and that is Magic Kaschuk right ahead of Morbid Apathy. He is trying to overtake them. Now, this is we've lost Nikolai Fane. This is an interesting situation because technically this is for position. There is no blue flag out right now for Kaschuk. But of course, they're BMWs. He's a Porsche. So effectively, this is a blue flag scenario. Because he's racing them for position overall, but not in class. Oh, Lord.
And that's why he waited.
Yeah. Morbid Apathy getting on the grass, and we'll lose out to both Rizov and Darnell. And Ivan Rizov a little bit more, let's just say, uneventfully overtaking Max Kaschuk.
Good word.
I would not go too wide through Surtees there. I would wait for the Pilgrim problem. Here is your obvious place to clear the slower BMWs. So we approach the 3/4 mark in about 27 seconds. Hibero leading the way and has been a dominant force all day. 41 seconds ahead of Martin Edmonds. There's a battle for second place going on between Edmonds and Spriggs. And then maybe Luciano Chaz will get in there, although his last 2 laps have been slower than theirs, and he has fallen back to 57 seconds behind Spriggs. So not quite keeping up. Andrew D is fairly lonely in 5th place. Max Moran and Yuri Kutachville are kind of running their own gale. Ivan Rizov is in 8th place, but he is 2 laps down to the top 7. And then it is Vic Vega leading the BMWs for Magic Kaschuk, Andy Darnell, Steve Davidson, Leslie Comey, and Chris Willems. But Apathy is still technically running, but he is running with the BMWs as Kaschuk takes the lead through Paddock Hill Bend.
Rio's going to kill Patrick.
Paddock Hill, sir.
Oh, Hill!
Is that Irish Hill? Patrick O'Malley?
It's just where the paddock is. I mean, Martin Edmonds could have asked Magic Kaschuk to lend him a hand there. They are part of Canadian Pole 2.0. But Kaschuk does not risk anything to help out the teammate. Also, just not a spot that he could have done anything on that Pilgrim's drop straightaway. For sure would have been in for a penalty if he had tried. And since Kaschuk has some legitimate championship hopes, he should probably be the focal point of the Canadian Pool 2.0 effort. They, of course, continued to dominate. Or no, pardon me, actually, they're not even, they're second place in the Constructors Team Championship. Is Tugas Online leading the way from Canadian Pool 2.0. Awesome Tugas BMW Whoosh in third place, followed by Rust Bucket Racing and the Gasoline Gladiators.
I believe I'm part of that Rust Bucket group, and I didn't score any points today.
Indeed. But, well, neither did Jeff Ecott, but you do have Chris Willems and Andy Darnell running, so they're in for some solid points. And, of course, your main rival, the Gasoline Gladiators, only have one car in the field right now, that being Leszek Lakomi. So I would say that you guys are coming out on top on this particular event. Briggs continues to look at the back of the dinosaur cart. Probably has about... That was ballsy. Thought better of it.
Showing Martin that nose, letting him know he's going to try it.
What do we got here? Nikolai Fane has been summoned to his home planet, it would appear.
Mars, it's all red.
Could be. It's a little bit light red for Mars. Oh, there we go. He's in the spin cycle.
Oh boy.
This is how they have mastered interstellar travel on Nikolai Fane's home planet.
If you spin hard enough, you eventually win.
It's all about the centrifugal force. Chris Willems having a moment there at the paddock hill. Well, the hope that Achaza would join this fight has, I think, kind of left me. He is now 5 seconds behind them. So, barring something spiky, I don't think he's really in for a shot at the podium here. And Martin and John are really clean drivers. I've raced against them a number of times. I don't expect any spikiness.
Both of these drivers have helped me immensely trying to get into a league of somewhere between morbid apathy and them, which has really been nice to see from ESR. They're a really helpful group of folks.
We do try. It's a shame we don't have the Academy running anymore, but it was hard to come up with a good format for that.
There it is.
Down the inside here. The door is open. Spriggs side by side into Sheen. Still side by side, I think. Into Sterling's. And he's got it. Would have probably preferred to see that from the outside rather than the inside. But, hey. It's a unique way of looking at it.
Think about it. For 50 minutes, these guys have been nose to tail. That took some concentration and a lot of guts.
Mm-hmm. Not an easy overtaking zone either at Sheen and Sterling's.
I think that was the first mistake we saw from either one of them.
So second place back in the hands of Spriggs. We'll see if he can keep it. A little over 8.5 minutes to go. Vic Vega, you've been fined 5 credits for violation of the thermal cut.
Make that man use at least 4 seashells.
Indeed. He no longer gets to go to Taco Bell tonight.
Wow, harsh. That's pretty harsh.
He has to go eat with Edgar Friendly.
Wow.
Nah, that's too harsh.
Super wow.
Andy Darnell has fallen way back from Vic Vega. He was right behind Magic Koscheck, but Morbid Gatti has come between them. But there's 39 seconds between Morbid Apathy and Vic Vega, and then you still got another 3 seconds.
Well, no, that's correct. So the problem with the gaps that we were seeing there is the Apathy gap is to Rizov, not to Vega. So that's always a little bit of confusion. So Darnell is only 3.5 seconds behind Vega, which is still like a growing gap. They were much closer. I do wonder if perhaps Morbid Apathy has played a role in that gap growing through what I think could fairly be described as somewhat erratic driving.
Absolutely. He's still on track. He's still learning.
Oh, and much respect. We all got to start somewhere, and we all improve at our own rates. Some people are amazing improvements. Josiah Jerome comes to mind. Some of us are a little slower, such as myself.
And me.
Of course, this weekend my dad will be joining me for an enduro race, so that'll be fun times. Won't be much of an enduro. We're a 3-man team for a 3-hour race, so it'll be pretty easy. Normally, you would only do a 3-man race or a 2-man team for a 3-hour race, but of course, me and my dad cannot switch each other into the car, so we need the third guy. Continues to trail John Spriggs. They made a little bit of contact earlier, which we didn't really acknowledge, but nothing really came of it. And Morbid Apathy has finally overtaken all the BMWs, making his way through Vic Vega and Magic Koscheck.
Was this about Mike Stoffmill?
There was nothing about Mike Stoffmill.
Don't lie to me. It's all about Mike Stoffmill.
Speaking of Morbid Apathy, it looks like he is missing his bumper again. Runs ahead of the BMW leaders. Time running down here. We're into the final 5 minutes of today's race.
That means they have little time to dispense with the nuclear weapons.
Can Vic Vega get back into the lead? That is the question.
Nope, just too far back, too far away.
He's putting up a fantastic performance, and he is only 0.7 of a second off lead.
He's 40 laps behind.
I mean, at this point, only Fotis Zoglu is 40 laps behind. Kratachville working his way through some traffic. And Yuri is catching up to Max Moran. So that could be a showdown for 6th place yet. They are 1 second apart. And John Spriggs finally has a little bit of room to breathe ahead of Martin Evans. Thomas Ibarro, what are you doing violating track limits, sir? You are 50 seconds ahead. There is no need to explore those things.
Will Martin Edmonds put John Spriggs
Oh.
directly in the wall? Tune
We
in
had,
next
it
week.
looks like an op between Kazchuk and Vega. What happened there?
I
Should have a
believe there
replay
was
function.
a beaver involved.
Looks like they both went off around probably Sterling's and are now very close together at Jim Clark Curve and into Paddock Hill Bend.
All of a sudden, we got us a race.
I imagine Vega went for something, and it ended in some kind of light contact. Neither car appears to be damaged. But I imagine their tires are not super happy about the dust up. Ooh, down the inside of Graham Hill. And Vic Vega back to the lead.
That was a bold move.
Prime overtaking spot. We'll see if he can hold. We've seen Kazchuk get him once already. And he'll have probably another lap after this to try and get it done. Depending on where Hibero is in relation to the start-finish line right now. As he is the checkered flag demarcation. There is theoretically 2 more laps for these guys. Theoretically. Let's see. Kazchuk getting a slowdown penalty as he tries to get that lead back. It's an important spot. How has Vega's season gone? I don't think I looked at his results. So, Vic Vega missed last round at Suzuka. He'd had a solid run. 7th place at Imola, 5th place at Dubai, 6th place at TT Assen. Did pick up a penalty, though, at Dubai for, I believe, contact with another car.
And also war crimes.
So he's not a championship contender, realistically. But, hey, he doesn't have to be to win a race. Morbid Apathy with another spin. Andrew D putting the pressure late on Luciano Echazo, who may be running out of tires. Echazo, of course, was the first guy to pit. Pitted very, very, very early in the race. Big undercut. And it is possible that those tires are just not really giving him what he needs anymore.
Are you saying they might be tired?
They may be tired. I want to say he pitted around 15 minutes into the race, so he's been on those tires for about 45 minutes. Which is the longest anybody has done on them.
What if Martin
somebody
Edmonds
working their way through.
immediately fires off the blue shell?
Well, it would go and hunt down Thomas Hibero, and I think he would still probably win.
Oh, yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Oh no! Vic Vega from the lead of the BMW race to 2nd place as he goes off around Jim Clark Curve. I'm sure I'll be seeing more on that if there was contact. Just call it a gut feeling that'll end up in front of the stewards. But we saw nothing. Inopportune traffic here for Andrew D. He can't really attack Luciano Echazo until they clear Vic Vega and Andy Darnell, who are, of course, not really inclined to be that cooperative given that they are battling for 2nd place. But the Pilgrim Straight here should sort things out. Ivan Rizov with a slight touch of the wall. Checkered flag is out. Hibero is your winner.
What? How?
What?
By
No way.
complete domination.
Shocker.
John Spriggs is going to come home in 2nd with Martin Edmonds joining them on the podium to give us a Portuguese, British, and Canadian podium.
How much per diem per podium do they promulgate?
On the BMW side of things, it will be Magic Kaszuk, Vic Vega, and Andy Darnell on the podium. And rounding off the field, Steve Davidson, Leszek Lakomi, and Chris Willems. In the Porsche category, Ichazo hangs on to 4th place ahead of Andrew D. Max Moran in 6th, followed by Yuri Kratachvil, Ivan Rizov, and Morbid Apathy. We lost Nikolai Fain and Fotis Zoglu on the way. Fastest lap, no surprise. It is by almost a full second, Thomas Hibera.
Good day. And by full second, do you mean full minute?
No, full second.
No, I demand an entire minute.
If you have fastest lap by a full minute, I just don't even know what to talk about.
I demand multiple minutes.
Like, unless we're at the Nordschleife, that's not possible.
Thugschleife.
Championship standings coming out of this race. In the Porsche category, keep in mind Henrik Andreasen is in the Porsche category somewhere, but he's listed as multi, so I can't. Well, hang on. I can put him on. There you go. 160 points for Hibero, who has won every single race. 110 for John Spriggs. 90 for Andrew D. Luciano Ichazo and Henrik Andreasen are on 87 apiece. That is your top 5. And in the BMW category, it is Tobias Thierolf leading the way by just 8 points over Magic Kaszuk, who wins today. Andy Darnell on 123, 82 for Leszek Lakomi, and 75 for Vic Vega. And in the teams category, it is going to be a heavily dominant, well, not that dominant, 17-point lead for Tugas Online International. They have 359 points. The gap was closed here today, mostly because Thierolf was missing. Canadian pole now on 342 in second place. Awesome Tugas BMW Whoosh on 313. And then it is 246 for Rust Bucket Racing and 221 for Gasoline Gladiators. Gentlemen, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Stay fresh. Stay fresh, cheese bags. Was.